Welcome into the Analyst in the Armchair, an NFL podcast where one host is obsessed with stats and spreadsheets, and the other just really loves yelling at the TV on game day and has plenty of opinions. Together, Michelle and Nycole dive into player news, weekly matchups, and all the storylines you'll be talking about with your friends. Whether you're a hardcore or casual football fan, they've got something for you.
Hey, welcome into the Analyst and the Armchair. I'm Michelle, I'm the Analyst. This is Nycole, she is the Armchair. And we are chugging through this off season in June, roughest part of NFL time because nothing's really going on. And it's sad. Yeah, it's our big 6-week break where we don't get a ton of content. So there's not a lot of NFL news right now. So we're just going to hop into the little bit of news we do have right away. And then we have a super fun show where we're going to plant our flag on multiple takes for the 2026 season. So we're not going to be changing these. Okay, if something crazy happens, maybe before the season, we say we're changing our mind. But we're going to plant our flags on some teams, some players, some coaches this year. It'll be a fun time. But to discuss a little bit of news we do have, which actually could shake up some things. Brendan Sorsby, a college football player, got into some issues with gambling on football on his own team. He wasn't like losing games on purpose, but he was betting on them to win and stuff. Sure. Not allowed, right? So he's going to come out, I think, to the NFL supplemental draft. He still has to be approved, but he's trying to enter the NFL supplemental draft, which happens in the middle of July, which this guy, if he were to continue to play in college, he's projected to be a top 10 pick in next year's draft. So teams are going to be able to put down a draft pick for him in the supplemental draft if they want him. So let's say they want to spend a second round pick on him. They'll say, we'll use our 2027 second round pick. And if they have the highest bid, they get him. Do you think there's any teams that should be doing a second round pick for him? I don't know. Team's going to put a first round pick on him with his issues gambling and all the risks there. But he's a mobile quarterback with a good arm. So maybe one of these teams should take a chance on him. If you're the Browns or Steelers or Cardinals or the Jets.
Man, it feels like, though, a guy that's already coming in with problems. Do you really want that kind of headache to deal with on the front end? Now, if he's playing at Tech, he's at Tech, right? Well,
he was at Cincy last year, but he transferred to Texas Tech. So if he were to play this year in college, it would have been at Texas Tech.
Right. So, I mean, it's was he young and dumb and just trying to make some cash? Or is he going to be a problem? Yeah. Right.
And he got away with it, basically. I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to really miss any time because it happened at the end of the, last year. And
it feels like a player that the Browns would go and grab because they're just prone to issues.
The reports say they are out on him, but
I would, me, I would stay clear of this guy.
See, as a Steelers fan, when you have no real option, I know Drew Aller and Will Howard, but after Aaron Rodgers, who is going to be your next guy? The Steelers should do a third. If no one spends a second, okay, I think they should spend a third on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And I think the Jets should desperately do it. The Cardinals, take as many swings as you can. Second and third rounders fail all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely don't do it first, but
yeah.
Third.
I guess.
I'm excited.
It'd be entertaining to say the least.
Yeah. He led the FBS in yards per carry last year at 13.5. He had 38 touchdowns in 12 games played. He could be interesting.
Wow.
You just got to get his gambling addiction under control.
You don't know if it's an addiction.
Yeah, I know. But at least he wasn't gambling against his team. He was saying,
True,
we're going to win.
Worse.
You had to try real hard,
That would be worse.
And then the only real other piece of news I just want to bring up, Jets head coach Aaron Glenn said he's planning to use Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis as a three-headed monster this season. So all the three running backs, they're going to just plan to use up.
You think you have nothing else, but continue.
But also it's so funny because they paid Breece Hall.
Right.
If you want a three-headed monster, you can do that on the cheap. Mm-hmm. But instead, they're going to pay Breece Hall this money instead of paying Quinton Williams or Sauce Gardner, actual game-changing players. they're going to pay the running back that's going to split the backfield with 3 people. Anyways, if you listen to any of my fantasy podcasts, I've been off of Breece Hall at his price, and this only makes it even more scary.
The Jets, it's just like it's like a crash. You know, it's coming.
Mhm.
It's already like you've already seen 1 or 2 or 7,
Yeah.
and you just can't look away.
And people, like I say people, there are people optimistic about the Jets this offseason after their draft and all that, which, okay, they can add good, nice young pieces. I still think this year is going to be an absolute disaster.
Mhm.
Like your quarterback is Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Then your
But they've
head
got
coach
their
is-
3-headed monster.
and your head
don't
coach
worry.
is still Aaron Glenn for now.
So, we'll see what happens there.
Okay. Is it time to plant our flag? Are you ready to
It's time.
die on the hill for these takes?
Well,
You're
yeah.
making a mistake 2 off seasons in a row about one team.
Which one?
Well,
don't even know what you're
I
gonna
guess we'll
say.
figure it out here in a second.
Between the 20s.
We're going to go through some questions, and then we're going to plant our flag on who we want to pick here. And this is like, it's written in ink. Unless something drastic changes, and then maybe
I
I'll
think
give
people
you
say written in stone.
written in ink. You cannot erase.
The literally are pens with erasers. But-
Nope, write it in pen.
Okay.
Write it in ink. So our first one is going to be one NFL team that we're
Mhm.
planting our flag on,
Yep.
which obviously we're not like picking the Rams or anything. We're picking a team that other people don't believe in as much as we do. This is going to be our team that we're saying we believe in you and no one else does as much.
Mhm.
And this was a team you believed in last offseason too. And then they had the number 1 overall pick.
Okay.
Okay.
Great foreshadowing there. Yes, I picked the Raiders.
Okay.
Okay. I feel that in this offseason, and I'm not saying by any means they're going to be in the Super Bowl or anything crazy, but I do believe that they're better than people are giving them credit for. They had a quietly impressive offseason. I think the entire, like the Max Crosby situation and that falling through and him staying in Las Vegas is a huge benefit to them.
Mhm.
They get the number 1 overall pick. They go and grab Kirk Cousins and say, "Hey, come coach this guy up."
Come coach.
Right?
Basically.
Not coach, but like coach
Yeah.
this kid up, you know. If the quarterback situation can stabilize, it only bodes well for them. Ashton Genty's coming into his 2nd year. I think surely they've got to figure out, like, oh, he's a running back that he's great after the catch, right?
Mhm.
So I think they had a sneaky good offseason. I think things fell into place for the Raiders to be much, much better than people think they will be.
Listen, I would be so on board. And I do think they're going to win more games than they did last year. They're going to look better.
They have to.
I think they have a much better whole system and plan. And I really like Clint Kubiak, who they added as their new head coach. And like everything you brought up. And I like all the moves they made on defense. And I do think the Max Crosby thing falling was fantastic.
I feel like we
Yeah.
just forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like it happened. We're like, whoa. And then nobody said anything about it being so imperative for the Raiders and all the other changes they've made.
My biggest thing with getting on track here is that I don't think they should let Fernando Mendoza play year 1. I think Kirk Cousins has to go out and lose a lot of games and teach him and all this. And this should just be a learning season for Fernando Mendoza, 100% all across the board, and how to do meetings and all that stuff, how to be a leader, because there's no wide receivers on this team. Unless they make this insane trade that happens before the season or mid-season and they get him an actual real wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Outside of Brock Bowers, I mean, Jack Besh, Deontay Thornton. Like I'm struggling to even think of these guys right now. Like there is no wide receivers there.
You're not wrong.
So I just don't want them to put out this young dude who, he's a number 1 overall pick, but I would say, like, if we're comparing him to other number 1 overall picks at quarterback in recent years or even a long time, he's probably at the lowest end of it.
Sure.
Maybe better than Bryce Hall, but
yeah, but
Bryce
I do
Young.
think he's a locker room guy. Like,
yeah,
he's a solid foundation, a sweet little guy.
Yeah.
And I think Kirk Cousins being there, it only bodes well for him. To your point, do I think he needs to sit out the whole season? No. But it's really going to just depend on what they can figure out scheme wise to get the ball going in Las Vegas.
Fair enough. Now, I know I'm wearing a Steelers sweatshirt right now, but the team I'm planting my flag on as being way better than other people are giving them credit for is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have a fantastic year. It's so easy to say better than last year, right?
Yeah.
6 wins last season.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow missed 9 games. So right off the bat, if Joe Burrow is healthy, they should instantly be better. But then they did what they had to do this offseason. They focused on just fixing up their defense. They're like, you know what? We fix up this offensive line for Joe Burrow. We have all the weapons for him. We're set there. We're just going to focus on defense. They trade for Dexter Lawrence. They signed Jonathan Allen. So right off the bat, their interior defensive line is so much upgraded. Like huge for the running game and getting pressure up the middle. Then, they lose Trey Hendrickson. But last year, they didn't really have him anyways.
Yeah.
He barely played. And when he did, he wasn't really himself. He just wanted out. Add Boye Mafe to that group. Then cool. Boye Mafe is a good young edge rusher. They drafted an edge rusher last year in the first round, and Shamar Stewart. He missed he missed a lot of his rookie season, and when he was playing through injuries. Mm-hmm. So they get him back, hopefully healthy, and then they use their first pick this year's draft. If it was in the second round, but for 41st overall on another edge rusher, Keish Howell. So I think overall they made all the right moves, even adding to the secondary with Brian Cook and Kyle Duggar as safety for what they needed to do. And then my favorite part, well, not as a Steelers fan, but my favorite part for dying on this hill for the Bengals is that they have the third easiest strength of schedule this season based on opponents' win percentage last year.
Yeah.
12 of their last 13 games of the season are against opponents that had a losing record last year. And the only team that didn't have a losing record that have to play in that 13-game span are the Steelers, which I don't think anyone's going to be like, well, you can't beat the Steelers. Like, they can. Yeah. They can. So they have an easy schedule. They get the guys back. They fix up their defense.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. I think we're all how much you've backed the Chargers, I think is how I feel about the Bengals. Okay. Right. Like I always really liked Joe Burrow.
Oh, the Chargers should have been my pick. Probably, but I've talked about them enough. They're also my flag.
But I think I feel that way about the Bengals. It's like on paper, you have all the pieces offensively, like go and figure out something defensively and let's get it. And I feel like, to your point, that's what they did this offseason, and they're going to be a very exciting team to watch this year.
All right. We're going to switch questions here. We're going to put our flag, place it down, plant it on one veteran that's going to break out officially. And this is a guy that's been in the league at least 3 years at this point. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a bit of a shock when they do it. But who's one guy that you think will officially break out?
Okay. And I know you probably hate this pick. Your face is like, I do, but I won't say that. So I'm going to Mario Douglas. Okay. Now let me caveat this pick with, do I think Demario Douglas will be like a future wide receiver 1? No. Do I think he can be a really high end wide receiver 2? Yes, I do. Why do I think that? He's got a better quarterback situation. Drake May, they're getting some chemistry. There's talk about like mini camp and that he's one of his favorite targets. Good, great, wonderful, right? He's really good at getting open. When you look at the metrics, he is consistently graded really high, especially in single coverage. Okay. Now, I think that's going to bode well for him because I can't imagine he's ever really going to have, would you say double coverage? Is that the right way?
Yeah.
Is that the right football term?
Double coverage.
And then I think when you look at his numbers last year, not exciting. He had 31 catches, which is pretty embarrassing, quite frankly. But 447 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. Despite that, though, his yards after the catch, or per catch rather, improved last year. Mm-hmm. So even though his amount was pretty low, really good yards after catch. So I think he's one of those guys that you're like, oh, he was a 6th-round pick. Like he's been in multiple seasons thus far, not like a stellar guy out there. I think he could easily double his yards this season, double his touchdowns, and double his receptions this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Patriots use him this year.
I will say, so there's like two ways of thinking about Demario Douglas. It can be, well, he didn't do it when he was the top guy, right? Like they needed him, he didn't do it. And now the Patriots add AJ Brown and Romeo Doubs. Why would he do it now, right?
Sure.
But you could also think, well, he doesn't have the skill set, or he's not dominant enough to be the top guy. So now having those guys there allows him to do what he's best at in his route running and get open for Drake May, and it's going to give him way more space. And that's kind of, you're saying like he doesn't need to dominate targets, but he's going to be way better on the targets he does get.
100%. I think he's not a AJ Brown. He's not a Jamar Chase. You know, these guys that like Justin Jefferson, that are just the guy, right? He's not that. But when you have those guys, he shines because they're out there shining, and he's able to, I think, produce a lot more. He's going to be more open, those kinds of things.
Okay, interesting. I've not been on him at all this offseason, but maybe I'll start to get on board because he's going very, very, very late in fantasy drafts. So if you're on Nycole's side, you should be taking him in drafts for sure. Another guy I'm taking later in fantasy drafts. That's not really what this question is, but I mean, at the same point, it kind of is though.
They go hand in hand.
Veterans that are going to break out who haven't been so good. And mine's going to be Christian Watson, the wide receiver of the Packers, because if he can't do it this year, then the Packers paid him way too early because they just gave him a big old contract for doing literally very little over the first
man. You know she hates this pick when she starts talking in British English.
It's first 4 seasons. The man has never had more than 620 receiving yards, and he gets a monster contract from the Packers already. But it's because they desperately need him. And they're trying to will this thing to happen because they lose Romeo Doubs, they lose Ontavian Wicks, they have Tucker Kraft coming back from injury, a severe injury with the ACL tear, but it does look like he could be back early in the season. Matthew Golden, who knows if that's a major bust. And Jaden Reed has trouble staying healthy. So they need Christian Watson to be the dude. Last year, he did have a career year with 61 receiving yards per game. But the thing is, he only played 10 games because that's what he typically does. He gets hurt a lot. He needs to stay healthy because he does like show these moments where when he's healthy, it's like, wow, he could be great. In the 3 of his last 5 games played last season, he had at least 80 receiving yards. He's going to get all the targets. Like, despite playing only 10 games, he's still ranked second on the Packers in receptions and receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. I know it pains you to have picked Christian Watson, but I think it's a good take. I think if he can stay on the field, similar to Jalen Waddle, honestly, I could very much see this being a good take.
Yeah, I have. This is the first time ever being on board with Christian Watson. But if he can't do it this year, then they massively overpaid him. The Packers are stupid. But I do think if Christian Watson can stay healthy for once, he's going to break out fully, have over 1,000 yards, and be a really good pick in fantasy drafts because he's going in the 6th round right now.
Yeah.
All right, next question. You know we love these negative ones.
We are so good at them.
We're so good at them. Who is one veteran quarterback that's going to have the biggest downfall next year? So established quarterback with the biggest decline in production.
I want you to start. You start this one.
Okay. Man, I always just hate on the same people.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hate on him. I had a dream that the Seahawks won a Super Bowl again. That Sam Darnold went back-to-back Super Bowls, and I was devastated.
What a weird dream.
I know, it really is. But mine's Sam Darnold, and it's not trying to hate. It's just being realistic here. You lose a fantastic offense coordinator in Clint Kubiak. So many times we see quarterbacks, they lose a really good OC, and their production falls, right? Or they lose a really bad OC and get a better one and their production increases. But like Baker Mayfield lost Liam Cohen from 2024 to 2025. We saw it go down. Jalen Hurts lost Kellen Moore a couple years ago. We saw that go down. Justin Herbert hasn't been nearly as good since losing Shane Steichen as his OC. Jared Goff and that Lions offense, it was still fine last year, but it goes down a little bit without Ben Johnson. And with the Lions, at least they have a ton of weapons to keep them up.
Right.
With the Seahawks, they let Kenneth Walker go. They have Zach Charbonnet coming back from an ACL tear. They only have Jackson Smith and Jigba. They didn't add anyone else.
Nothing.
And the worry about the backfield is, and I know they took Jadarian Price in the first round, which I think in almost any other draft, Price is not considered a first round pick. It was just a very, very shallow running back draft.
Mhm.
Price can be fine, but this team leaned on the run so much last year. No team, well, they were the third highest running percentage team last year, behind only the Bills and the Ravens. And think about it. The Bills and the Ravens have Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who are running so much themselves.
Right.
The Seahawks aren't getting a lot of rushing production from Sam Darnold.
No.
So it was all the running backs last year that they leaned on. So when you look at the games where they had to lean on Sam Darnold, he only had one game with more than 36 pass attempts last year. In that game, he had 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions
Oof.
against the Rams. Darnold had just 6 games last year with 30 plus pass attempts. To compare, Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford had 13 such games. Caleb Williams, Jacoby Brissett had 12 such. Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes had 11 games with 30 plus pass attempts. Joe Burrow had 6 games himself, and he missed 9 games last year. So Sam Darnold was almost never, they never leaned on him. But in those 6 games, he had 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions over those 6 games,
Yeah.
an 84 passer rating. In the other games where they just lean on the run and on the defense, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 111 passer rating. If they can't lean on the run as much, they don't have Clint Kubiak.
Yeah.
I think Sam Darnold's down for it. Doesn't have to be a disaster season, but it's not going to be what he's done the last couple of years.
Sure. No, and I mean, I think that's a good take. I think, when you have the run game, it opens things up for you offensively with passing. You don't have that now. What are you going to do? And I think this is going to go one of 2 ways. He's either going to be trash and you're like, see, I told you so. Or he's going to have a season that you're like, oh, I did not know he could do that. And so
then I'm going to finally have to just put the little tail between my legs.
You're going to have to put the tail and walk away.
Yeah,
walk away from the Sam Darnold discussion.
Yeah, I am.
Perfect.
If he can still ball out with a different OC again, with only JSN as his wide receiver, with a rookie running back there, I'm going to have to give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah. So I'll remember this. I'll mentally, put a pin in this.
Well, your guy, I think you've been way too hard on this offseason.
Do you think so?
I really
It's
do.
probably wishful thinking, but I went Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I truly, truly believe and probably hope that last year and he was good. I mean, that's the hard thing when you're talking about somebody like Patrick Mahomes, the standard is higher, right? And so you see a glimpse of humanity in someone and you're like, wait, are they garbage? And you're like, no, they're just elite. And now they're like normal, right? And I feel that way about Patrick Mahomes, but I really, truly believe that he's going to be worse this year than he was last year. I know.
That's crazy.
But I'm hoping it's the beginning of the end for
he's still in his prime. He's still in such a prime. It's not the beginning of any end. Remember, we had to do with Tom Brady for 45 years. So
well, I was only here for a small smidgen of that. So I really do think that, obviously we know they added to their wide receiver room. I think their running back room. I think that was very, very needed, mainly because Patrick Mahomes was running the ball everywhere. Yeah. But you saw his humanity in that, right? You saw the plays that he could do at the very end. And you're like, how did that even happen and work? 2 seasons ago, they were winning those games. Last season, they were not. And so I do think this take is really going to be contingent on the running back situation. And if that really truly does open up things, I'm also kind of in the thought of he's so used to winning that he's kind of his mindset is do whatever is necessary. Mm-hmm. And I think that actually is his demise, right? I think that is why he makes mistakes. And they lost the games they lost last year. And then obviously him getting hurt doesn't help anything. So yeah, I'm still on the train of Patrick Mahomes is going to be a human this year. And he'll still be probably top 6, 7 quarterbacks, but I think he declines.
Okay. Yeah, even though I think unfortunately we have another decade of him dominating and being very good. But I mean, the weapons aren't there, and only what's so funny is his numbers have not been fantastic the last few years, but it's like, and he was amazing when, he had Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill in their prime. It seems like certain quarterbacks get that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, their weapons are worse. So like, yeah, of course. But look at what are he still doing? And then other guys like Brock Purdy get no respect at all, even when they're doing it with Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson
and
only.
Juwan Jennings, your bestie. Yeah. So,
but we'll see. I mean, I'm on that. I want it to happen. We all want the Chiefs to continue to suck outside of Chiefs fans.
Sure.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. All right. One fantasy sleeper. So a player going late in fantasy drafts that you think will be a fantastic fantasy player this year.
Okay. I, not as a Texans fan in this moment, am picking Brenton Strange from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's their tight end. He's projected tight end 20 in fantasy drafts. I think that's around pick like 149-ish. Listen, this guy has an opportunity. Okay. As we've talked about a lot, Jacksonville was non-existent in the offseason. If nothing else, they just lost weapons like Travis Etienne. But he missed 5 games last year. But even still, he had 540 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, 46 catches. If he was to keep that, trajectory and play 17 games, that's a 765-yard season, which I think is pretty dang good for a tight end in a time where I feel like there are like 3 tight ends that we talk about all the time. Brock Bowers, George Kittle, kind of, because he's kind of getting older and that kind of thing. Travis Kelce getting older. Trey McBride, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those are kind of the notable guys. I'm sure I forgot someone, but the thing is, this year I think he has the opportunity to be Trevor Lawrence's security blanket.
Okay.
Right. So I think, they let Evan Ingram walk because they thought Strange was ready to be tight end 1. And I mean, I think he has a huge option here. So I think that's a great tight end to go and grab earlier than that pick. And I mean, honestly, a steal if you're still looking around for tight ends. I mean, people are going to run and grab Kittle. They're going to go grab Brock Bowers. They're going to go grab Trey McBride. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity there. So
yeah. And then you have all the youngins and the, oh my goodness, Tyler Warren and Loveland Jr. And Loveland's going to go super early.
Yes.
And then, Harold Fannin Jr. So lots of guys going to go early. Even Sam Laporta should still be going. My one thing is that Mark Andrews is going so late. He's like tight end 17. And with Isaiah Likely going, I'm like, I can't imagine me like being that late in the draft and not taking a shot at Mark Andrews to bounce back.
That's fair.
Likely gone, but
that's a
I like a strange one. It's going to come down to touchdowns, which it does for a lot of these guys going late at the tight end position.
Sure,
but he should be utilized in this offense. And if we think this offense is still going to be high flying with Liam Cohen, and probably struggle at running the ball because they don't have anybody.
Yeah, so they're going to need that middle of the field guy.
Yeah, I like it. All right, mine is going to be Buccaneers wide receiver Jalen McMillan coming into his 3rd season. I feel like we forgot about this guy. Because he's going at wide receiver 60 cost, 157th overall, 14th round pick. And he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Buccaneers in 2024. It's not like he's a nobody. They spent a decent draft capital on him. He had a super strong end to his rookie season. He was averaging 17.4 fantasy points per game over the final 5 games of his rookie year in half PPR. And that's when the Buccaneers were dealing with injuries and all that, but he was dominant. I mean, the touchdowns coming down with the yardage, everything. When he was needed, he was there. But then he suffered a neck injury last year in the preseason. It made him miss pretty much the entire 2025 season. He didn't play a game until week 15 of last year. Very not utilized. Like he wasn't in the game plans that whole year, but there was one game of those 4 games he played that he was utilized and actually got targets, and he had a monster game, 7 receptions for 114 yards. So, in his very short career, in the games that he's had at least 5 targets, it's been 8 games. He's averaged 14.2 points per game in half PPR in those games, with at least 14 fantasy points scored in 6 of those 8 games.
Mm.
And I think he's going to have a very, very consistent role. I think he goes into the Mike Evans role. Is he going to be as good as Mike Evans? No, because Mike Evans is great.
Yeah.
But I think he gets a lot of targets. I think he's the second most targeted guy in this team. I know Chris Godwin's getting some hype, but he's older. His efficiency's been terrible. It's going to be Emeka Egbuka and Jalen McMillan.
Mm.
And Jalen McMillan, with how far he's going, I'm taking him in every single draft.
I might go snipe him from you.
Yeah, don't do that. This is why I hate sharing my takes. No one take Jalen
I
McMillan if
will
you're in my
forget
league.
that
but
in a few months.
yeah,
so
yeah,
don't
you're
worry.
not gonna remember.
No. I'll be
Okay.
like, who is that?
Jalen McMillan of the Buccaneers. He's going to be, I think he can be a top 26 fantasy wide receiver. And again, he's going wide receiver 60.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. We have one more plant our flag before we get to the 2-minute warning. And that is one crazy take. So you're going to just give us a crazy take. It could be about anything. Coaches, players, awards, anything you want about the NFL 2026 season. What do you got?
Okay.
Okay.
And I hate this pick, but it's kind of fun and like random
Okay.
and crazy. Bucky Irving winning the rushing title.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
I know, but it's so fun. What if
Okay.
he did? It'd be crazy.
It would be.
Okay. He has elite tackle breaking ability, this guy. Okay. He's an explosive runner and he's ascending. I mean, essentially, like the Bucks need the guy,
Mhm.
right? With letting Mike Evans go, you're looking for your identity. You're looking for someone to say, I've got us. Don't worry, Bake. Come on, let's go, right? He's going to have more offensive touches with Mike Evans being gone. I think they're going to utilize the running back position as like their bread and butter staple offense this year. There's less incentive for Baker to throw the ball. I mean, honestly, I know you just had the Jalen McMillan take, but if he's a bust, guess what? They've got Emeka Egbuka, and that's one guy, and that does not bode well for an offense. Ask the Steelers. So,
They have
I
Emeka,
think
Jalen McMillan, Kate Otten, Tez Johnson, Chris Godwin. They
yeah.
have guys.
okay.
They have
mhm.
guys.
So
They have names.
They have names. The offensive line is still a huge strength for the Bucks, and so I think they've got that to rely on. And honestly, he doesn't need an elite offense because he's, to win the title. Because he's good at what he does when he has the ball.
Mhm.
And so that doesn't mean you have to just have the ball all game long, because he's efficient with the takes he does have. So yeah, I'm going Bucky Irving winning the rushing title.
That is crazy.
I know.
Because there's so many good running backs this year where you're like, well, Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, right? And then you had Jonathan Taylor lead the, in rushing yards last year. So many good players and like a lot of young players we're excited for too.
Sure.
So to say Bucky Irving's crazy, especially because, Kenneth Gainwell, who you like a lot. You don't think he's going to get involved?
I mean, I hope so.
Sean Tucker,
I don't know about that.
probably not. More Kenneth Gainwell, but
Yeah.
I am interested to see if he gets his goal line work back because he had it his rookie season.
Yes.
Did not have it his second year. That went to Sean Tucker, especially towards the second half of the year.
Mhm.
But different OC now.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
There's
I-
opportunity.
Listen, it's supposed to be a crazy take, and you gave a crazy take.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
was the assignment.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, my crazy take is that AJ Brown is going to win Offensive Player of the Year in 2026, his very first year with the Patriots. Is just feeling very Randy Moss-ish of 2007
Mm.
when he goes to the Patriots and he just dominates with Tom Brady.
Mm.
Right now, I have a very loving thought, memory of that season because in my fantasy league, I had Tom Brady and Randy Moss. That was my stack.
Oh my gosh.
And it was amazing. And there was this one snow game, and I think it was like a playoff game. I don't remember, but the two connected for like 5 touchdowns. It was insane. It was a crazy
Did
day.
you win that year?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Okay, I was just
obviously,
making
everyone
sure.
who had Tom Brady and Randy Moss as a duo won that year. It was fantastic.
Sure.
But anyways, I don't know if it's going to be that beautiful, but I do know that Drake May last year showed what a good passer he was.
Mhm.
What a good deep passer he was as well.
Mhm.
He had the highest air yards per target last year and still led the league in completion percentage. That is so hard to do. And he did it the first year as a full-time starter. the thing that shocked me the most about this Patriots team, I was like, well, they had to pass way more than the Eagles last year. They didn't. They passed 5 more times than the Eagles last year.
Wow.
That is insane to me. But the efficiency was so much better. Drake May had over 1,100 more yards than Jalen Hurts, passing yards, than Jalen Hurts last year. He had 6 more passing touchdowns. And again, this is all in his first season playing with Demario Douglas, your favorite, as his top guy,
Right.
and Matt Collins, and it's Stephon Diggs, but an old man Stephon Diggs. And now he has actual weapons, and love them bringing AJ Brown. Obviously, I'm talking here about him being Offensive Player of the Year, and then Romeo Doubs, and then making Demario Douglas the wide receiver 3 instead of having to be the top guy and perform. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Even last year, disaster year, right? He still put up over 1,000 yards in that offense, 7 touchdowns. And towards the end of the year, he was really performing. Weeks 12 through 17, his last 6 games played, averaging over 91 receiving yards per game, had 4 of his 7 touchdowns during that time. I think he's going to dominate with Drake May in this offense, be the main guy. He's only had 9 games over the last 2 seasons with at least 10 targets. He's averaged 102 receiving yards per game in those games, 7 touchdowns in those 9 games. 11 games with at least 6 receptions over the last 2 seasons, 100 receiving yards per game, 8 touchdowns. I think he's going to be a monster. I think 1,700 yards and 16 touchdowns are on the table for him.
Wow.
And more. He probably needs more than that to win Offensive Player of the Year. But 1,616 is what I'm saying.
1,616?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the minimum for him.
Okay.
Not minimum. But 1,600, now I feel really good about the yards. 16 touchdowns are really, really hard to get, but
yeah,
I think he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, when he started crying last year, that's when they started throwing him the ball and he started producing, right? But
and they started losing, but
well, sure. But no, I think you're right. I think Drake May, as long as he continues on the trajectory he started last year, that feels plausible. I mean, him winning Offensive of the Year, Player of the Year, I don't know about all that. But I do think AJ Brown could be very, very good this year.
It's just going to be such a fun story if he goes there and dominates.
Totally.
And a lot of these awards are about stories.
Well, and then they can say, see, when you cry, you get rewarded.
Yeah. When you're a big baby. All right. That is it for our main plant your flags. But I have one more question I want to ask in our 2-minute warning. One more plant your flag. Who will be the first head coach fired in 2026? I know Nycole's not going to like my answer.
2-minute warning.
Who is going to be the first head coach fired, Nycole?
This one feels like a gimme. I'm bad about picking gimmies for the 2-minute warning.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's the right answer, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously Aaron Glenn. I think they're going to come out.
They should have fired him.
Well, of course,
this offseason.
But you feel that way about like Zach Taylor and
yeah. Well, Zach Taylor's had plenty of years. Aaron Glenn only got 1 year, but his whole thing is defense, and his defense was like literally the worst thing ever.
Trash. Yes, exactly. So I'm going Aaron Glenn. I think they let him coach. I don't know, 4, 5-ish.
That's pretty much what they did with Robert Saleh.
5-ish games, and then they say, okay, we need to blame it on somebody because this is not going well, which we already all know. And Aaron Glenn gets canned about week 5-ish.
Okay. I mean, I could definitely see that. I'm not going to be surprised, but I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go with your Commanders and Dan Quinn. I love what they've done on defense this year. I really do this offseason. I think the defense should be much, much better, but there's a lot of young guys they have to depend on to be great right away. And there's a lot of pieces that they added that have to mesh all together. And again, that's not an easy thing to do right away. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at the offense, yes, Jaden Daniels should be back and Terry McLaurin, they're healthier after last year, but they didn't fix the backfield at all. Mm-hmm. The Rashad White and Bill, right? Like one of the worst backfields in the league. We talked about this on, I think, maybe last podcast or the one before that. Mm-hmm. They didn't add any weapons next to Terry McLaurin. Yeah, maybe they're holding out for Brandon Ayuk, but Brandon Ayuk seems like a head case. If you get anything out of him, then okay. Like
more power to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet on that. My thing with Dan Quinn is that I think he's on the hot seat for sure. And the beginning of a long time of the Commander schedule is absolutely brutal. So they start the season on the road in back-to-back games. against the two divisional opponents, the Eagles and the Cowboys. That's a brutal start. And it's like, okay, well, we get to come home against the Super Bowl champions, Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think most people would predict they go 0-3 there, right? Unless they really surprise us. Now,
Sure.
then they have to go play in London. So they have to go make that trip out and play against the Colts. I think it's London. They're playing an international game in week 4 against the Colts. So that's a travel. Those international games are all over the place.
Sure.
Should they beat the Colts? Sure. But I think they're probably on the same level. And then they come back. They have to play another divisional opponent in the Giants, who we all think are going to be better this year. And then this stretch, they get at the 49ers, against the Eagles, against the Rams. Is anyone going to be shocked if they start 1-7 in that?
Oh,
How many games are they winning in that span? 2, maybe,
3.
maybe 2-6.
1
1-7, 2-6 is very much on the table. And if that happens, Dan Quinn's gone. Dan can't. They're not going to just keep Dan Quinn to hope that they turn it around. It does open up, a Bengal. Well, I think the Bengals can be good though. They get the Bengals after that, and then they get the Cardinals and Titans. Like it opens up, but the Cardinals and Titan games are also 2 games on the road.
Yeah.
And then they get the Texans and the Falcons, the Vikings, the Jaguars, the Cowboys. I just think 1-7 is very much on the table, and Dan Quinn could easily be the first head coach gone.
Yeah, the schedule's not great.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that.
Yeah.
And helping that any, because you can't change the schedule,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's what they do with it, and if the ownership has enough foresight to be like, give him more time, I guess.
Yeah, but Dan Quinn already fouled as a head coach with the Falcons.
I'm not saying it's the wrong choice. I'm just saying like the timing is suspect for me.
I'm not saying they should do it. It's just hard to keep a coach when you felt so bad the year prior and then you start 1-7.
Sure.
Yeah. And now maybe they surprise us. Maybe they pull out a win against either the Eagles or the Cowboys. That's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe they surprise us against they can beat the Colts or the Giants. Like maybe they pull off 4 wins and maybe he's fine. But it's a brutal schedule.
Yeah,
it
doesn't feel good.
It's not gonna be fun. All right, but that is it for today's episode. We hope you all have an amazing weekend. We'll be back with you next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Analyst in the Armchair. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on socials, leave us a review, and comment to let us know what you'd like to hear next time.